Welcome to the Four Brewers podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I am joined by
Jason Harris.
And it's just me and Jason this week. We don't have Tim, we don't have Joe, we don't have Greg. They're dropping like flies, man. I don't
It's
know
a
what
holiday. It's a holiday weekend. Everyone's taking time off to do other shit, I guess.
Taking time off to go get the COVID. Apparently. Tim's he mentioned something about getting some margaritas. I'm sure Tim's being as safe as possible. Joe's got some family stuff going on, and as you know, Greg still has the gout. So just me and Jason. It's nice and hot outside. It's like going to be 128,000 degrees this weekend. No, it's actually like 115 high here in Southern California, at least in our areas. And we're going to stick with pretty much just lagers and a couple IPAs from Live Oak and a little brewery known as Lone Star, which is the first beer we're going to drink. Lone Star is somewhat of a beer of legend on Four Brewers. It's one of Jason's favorite beers. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is one of my favorite regional lagers. Absolutely. Lone Star and to a lesser extent, Rainier kind of inspired Cheap Beer Corner and all of that.
I have a wallet that's made from Rainier lager box.
That's fun.
That I got from Mindy's Beer Gear. She's on Etsy if you want to check her stuff out. She makes pretty cool stuff. She makes wallets, like clutches, like that women would use, like those little purse things, headbands, all kinds of funky stuff. And they're pretty high quality. The first wallet I got from her was a Brewdog Punk IPA box that Yvonne got custom made for me for Christmas one year. And
that's
I still have it.
So
like I said, the first beer up is this is Lone Star. This is actually brewed by Pabst Brewing Company or owned by Pabst Brewing. I can't say they brew it. And they're out of Texas. That's the theme today. It's Texas beers. I'm pretty sure it's hot in Texas too. Texas tends to have the same weather as SoCal as far as I know.
I bet it's not 113. That's what it says on my phone right now. It says outside it is 113.
Yeah, the high in Mobile today is supposed to be 116. So global warming isn't real, you know. I mean, it gets hot in the summertime here in SoCal, but very rarely does it get, near 120 in the Inland Empire, Maybe in like the low and high desert. I mean, obviously in the low and high desert, it gets hotter than that, but not in the IE.
So Lone Star, I had like 24 of these. There's like 6 left.
I had a PBR right before we started, so I'm going to kind of compare it to that. And so far, it kind of smells the same. It smells a little sweeter, I'd say.
Yeah, it's very corny. It has that sweet, corny taste at the end, which is something I think PBR is kind of, well, I would say that's kind of a trademark of PBR as well.
This comes off a bit drier and actually, I think, less flavorful than PBR. I think PBR has more of that corn character than this has. We had PBR on the show, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes ago when we did beers from North Park. And their Covington Pils was made with corn. And I did a side-by-side with Covington and PBR. And Covington had way more of that corn flavor in a good way than PBR did. And this has way less character than PBR had. Like, this is almost damn near water to me compared to PBR. Like, it's good, nice and dry and like thirst quenching, but it's pretty basic.
Would you say this beer is like having sex in a canoe?
I don't get the reference.
That's like the stupid old man beer joke. It'd be like, yeah, the American beer is like having sex in a canoe, and then you'd be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And they're like, yeah, it's fucking close to water.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty watery. But again, not in like a really bad way. I mean, that's its intended design, I think. It's supposed to be like really clean and drinkable.
It has a bit of a sweet cloying finish, which isn't ideal for my taste, but and it's been a little bit since I've had one. So, well, before a week ago, I guess. But yeah, it's a little bit more of a sweet finish than I remember, which I think would appeal to like your Budweiser drinker, because Budweiser has always had that kind of kiss of sweetness at the end that I don't love usually, but
Yeah, I think comparing it to Budweiser or even like Bud Light, that's a good call. I get those vibes from this beer. Um, I used to drink Bud Light exclusively before I drank craft beer, and before that, Coors Light. I don't know why I switched. Well, I do. I started going out with a girl, and that's what she drank, and I just switched because that's what was in the house. And but I don't know why I stuck with it. Like, because Coors Light, Bud Light, there are differences, but they're all pretty much the same thing. And this does have Bud Light vibes to me with that sweetness.
I would argue that the big three light beers all have pretty distinct flavors. Bud Light's a
Yeah,
little
I'm not.
sweeter. Coors is like the dry, crisp one,
Yeah,
and Miller tends to be the one that's a little bit more on the like bready malt character.
right. Yeah, I'm referring to Coors Light and Bud Light, and I mean, I guess they still have their distinct characteristics. Obviously, I'm not saying that they taste all the same, but Bud Light definitely. Matt said it before. He thinks it's like, I think you both agree, it's like a yeast kind of sweetness thing that's happening.
Yeah,
Something with their yeast and how it creates like this sweet, almost bubblegummy kind of
I
thing.
remember it being like almost like a little bit of like a cherry wood kind of thing.
Cherry, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not the Beechwood.
No, no,
Beechwood aged.
the Beechwood age. Although shit, maybe it is, but I
Well,
think it's supposed to be neutral, right?
Beechwood's
Beechwood.
pretty neutral, yeah, and they use such a small amount just for, yeast propagation. Not propagation. It gives the yeast something to stick to, basically.
Yeah, they use the spirals in the bottom of the tank, right? So there's more surface area for the yeast.
Right, right. But yeah, this is just a straight up clean, drinkable beer. If this, were the only option at a party, I would not turn it down because it's. I mean, I wouldn't really turn anything down as far as beer goes, but I'd be pleasantly surprised if this were at a party I went to, especially since you can't really get it in SoCal.
Yeah, that would actually be a nice treat getting that in California. All right, these beers are anonymous. Most of these beers just are white labels, and they print it on the bottom which one is which. So I'm not like meticulously checking freshness. I'm trying to figure out which fucking beer is it.
Yeah, Jason's referring to these beers from Live Oak. We have 4 beers from Live Oak that, if you're watching the live stream, you can see what these cans look like. It's just a blank white label, which, as far as marketing goes, I guess they don't care. They're just fuck it. Why even put a label on it? Just put a silver can out there. Do we know any? Is there any
Well,
significance behind this white label?
I think it's just their base cans, but they sell in a box first off, so that you don't really need a label on the can to sell it. And they're selling on
Yeah,
prem,
okay.
so they're just like, look, why are we going to print a label? We're doing a bunch of small runs of beer. Fuck it.
I didn't know they were in a box. That makes more sense. Yeah. As
Yeah,
long as
yeah, they
you
all
can
come in
see
a box.
the artwork on the outside. I guess
But
that's all that matters.
even then, the box packaging is pretty much generic, and they use a sticker to put the name of what beer it is. Just frugality, man.
So this beer, this is Klein's beer. This is just from seeing all of the references on Untapped to Klein's or Kleinus. I don't know how I'm supposed to say it.
Kleines
Uh,
beer.
This looks like some kind of a German style, if I'm correct.
One way to find out, buddy.
Let's see.
Kleines.
Yeah, they don't say much. It's made with it's made with their favorite Czech and German hops. And that's all they really say about it on Tapped.
Huh. Well, that is not very useful. It's very low alcohol. It's only 3.2, which is unusually low, even for a light version of a beer.
Yeah, that's awesomely low. Like, talk about, summer sippers. I mean, you could sip on that all day and it'll just burn it off as you go if it's hot enough outside.
It means small beer in English.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. So it's German for small beer. Well, I just had a small beer Lone Star. Well, by just had, I mean yesterday. Those were actually pretty dope. It was like 2.5 or 3% Lone Star cans that got brought out, and they were pretty rad.
Sorry, I had to grab the beer.
Oh, I forgot the beer.
think my Run the Jewels record just came?
Oh yeah, mine's out for delivery. I'm hyped.
Yvonne just brought it in.
Whoop, whoop.
So this beer looks very, very light. It's near white. It's got a tinge of yellow to it. Huge fluffy white head, which I love seeing big heads in beers. Like over the years of drinking craft beer, I've, at first it was like, I don't care about head retention, but now as I'm getting older, I appreciate it. It just makes a beer look better. Like I want to drink that beer when it's got a nice fluffy head on it.
So you're saying in your old age, you're really getting into head?
I am. Yeah.
big fan of head now.
Both giving and receiving.
Yeah, the beer, it's very much like when you think like what could be lighter SRM than like a light lager. This is like,
yeah, it's pretty, like I said, it's pretty white. I mean, in the camera, I've got a bunch of funky lights going on here, so it actually looks red and blue, but yeah, it's pretty light.
But it's got a nice nose to it. You get a little bit of the funky like noble hop aroma to it. There's a little bit of that bready biscuity kind of thing. Just a hint though, very light.
I get a lot of floral character on the nose on this beer. Kind of light, slightly fruity floral nose. Works very well with the malt character coming through on the nose.
And drinking it, it's kind of what you would think it is, which is it tastes. There is a bit of a thinness there, a bit of a wateriness there, but there's a nice like noble hop presence to it. It has a very traditional European Pilsner flavor. I actually really like this beer, and for 3.2%, I could drink like 2 liters of this.
I mean, it definitely comes off very light on the palate, which in this weather, like as far as like a river beer goes, man, I don't even know if you'd taste this. Like, it's just so like, it's such a small beer that I mean, you might get some of the, I think the floral hop character coming through on the flavor, but that's pretty much it. It's got a decent body to it for being 3.2. I will say that. Obviously, it's not similar to like a 5.5 beer, but it's enough to make it good for like the everyday drinker, I think. And but if you're outside in extremely hot weather, like this is just gonna go right through you. This is like water almost if it's hot outside.
Yeah, but it's super flavorful. It's actually the hop presence. I would be surprised if or I wouldn't be surprised. According to this, it says 26 IBU. I would have guessed higher. Wow. Actually, it's got a real notable hop presence. I wonder if they're doing a lot of late hopping in it.
It tastes like they are because I mean, for what it is, I think we're getting more hop character than we should be. Like if it was brewed quote unquote traditionally.
Right.
And yeah, it's got a lot of that late addition flavor hop action happening. It's a really good beer for being 3.2. If I made this beer, I'd be extremely proud of it. Like, especially for it being a lager, like, and being this light, man, they crushed it. Like, this is fantastic.
And I think using these hops as a flavor highlight is an uncommon choice, and it makes the beer kind of stand out because you don't get a beer focused on these sort of more traditional. They're saying they're using noble Czech and German hops. You don't see that as the star of the show in a beer that often, and it really is in this beer. Super interesting, like it's really refreshing, but there's enough flavor there where you don't feel like you're just drinking something watered down.
Yeah, and I don't mean to come off by saying if you're drinking this outside, it's almost like you're drinking water. I'm just saying for its body and carbonation and it's over like what it is overall, you do get some flavor in there, but yeah, it's just you could guzzle these. Like talk about like a beer bong beer. This is your beer.
Oh shit. That's what we're doing next episode, John. We're just doing beer bong beers.
Have you done a beer bong? I'm assuming you have.
Probably not in like 10 years, if I'm being honest.
It's probably been 20 years since I did a beer bong. Yeah.
I was pretty good the last time I did it, but we'll see.
We, I think I got up to maybe 4 beers in one bong hit on a beer bong. back in my bong hitting days.
Your your stomach just hurts. You're like, why'd I even do this? Like, what was the point of this?
I mean, I remember it being very, very fun. I didn't really have those side effects. I mean, the next morning when I would get hangovers back then, yeah, that sucked. But while it's happening, you could do the same thing with water almost. It's in hindsight, it's very dangerous. Like you're just filling up your stomach very quickly with liquid, and that's not smart because you could die. But it was like, yeah, I did it. I just guzzled 4 beers in 20 seconds. Look at me.
It was like, woo!
Yeah, man.
You did it.
I was the hero.
That's right. It's the biggest achievement of my life is that time that I slammed a beer bong.
So overall, we're saying this beer is very bongable. If you're gonna do beer bong,
I could bong a liter of it.
That's the new standard. Can you bong a liter of it?
Butt bong. How much could you butt bong in this beer?
Did you see that thing on Howard Stern where Richard Christie tasted beers with his butt?
No.
They put him on his back. Well, he's a big craft beer guy. Like he's a craft beer geek just like us. And Howard's always chastising him about it, because you know how it is. It's like you get to drinking beers, and next thing you know, you're 10 beers deep, and you're watching a football game and having fun with your friends. And Richard's a little extreme, but someone brought up to him like, if we brought in different beers from different styles and whatnot, could you pick out the beers with your butthole? And he said, yeah, and he'll do anything to get naked in the studio. And so they put him on his back in the studio, and he pulled his legs up over his head, and they had like a pumpkin beer, a stout, an IPA, and something else. And I think he got like 3 out of 5 right. I mean, I've never put beer on my butthole, so maybe you can feel like the viscosity of a stout. I don't know.
Maybe you save that one for YouTube, John. I don't want to be on that one.
It's my new review playlist on YouTube.
You got to keep it just off frame, so it's just like legs pointing up from the bottom of the frame. Like, all right, now we're gonna try a new beer. You guys can see here, and I think that's Guinness. It's got the ass feel of Guinness.
May Small One in the Twitch chat suggested doing it for only Patreon, and then Kyle from the chat suggested maybe we start a 4B OnlyFans, and there we go. I can just show my butthole chugging in its full glory.
Isn't Patreon kind of the same thing as OnlyFans, just with less nudes?
I don't know if you can show nudes. I mean, maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah, there are adult Patreons. I've seen.
Okay. No, well, we're
like
Patreon. Like
I think
you
they
have
don't
to be
come
over
up in
18
the
if you are paid
search or whatever.
So
but yeah,
we come up in search, but yeah, I don't think it comes up if they know you're a child. That's the whole point. So I'm gonna grab the next beer.
All right, same. Wait, Kyle, you're a children? Shit. It's a pretty epic beard for a child. So you got another pills, right? Not the other pills?
I have another.
Yep, same. All right.
So up next from Live Oak, we've got another pills called Another Pills.
Not to be confused with the other pills, which is what we're drinking next.
The other pills is the other pills we're going to drink next. So,
This beer is astoundingly clear. Like, this is possibly one of the clearest beers I've ever had. Like, it's not focusing well, but It
You've got
is.
your green RGB lights on. Oh
That's
wow, yeah.
right. It is insanely clear. Like just the brightest, one of the brightest beers I've probably ever seen. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, that looks very, very pretty. This is, yeah. I would agree. This is probably one of the clearest beers I've ever had next to like a macro. You know what I mean? Even some macros tend to be a little bit like unclear. Not hazy, but like unclear, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And then I've got the little, I'm using the Duvel glass, so it has a little bubble tornado in the middle, which is always fun.
Oh yeah. Even mine, yeah. I've got some nucleation sites on my glass where it's just picking up. I have an old school brewery glass and they don't have any etchings on them, but yeah, it's a very pretty beer. This is a 4.2%, so a whole 1% more ABV than the previous beer.
And I know some of these had some pretty interesting hop varietals. This may be one of those ones. Brewed with Contessa hops.
What? Contessa?
Yeah, I've never heard of a Contessa hop.
Neither have I.
Contessa experimental. What is it's a U.S. cultivated noble hop.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
It does have that noble hop character, like the floral the floral aspect comes out pretty. It's actually like noble hop on steroids almost.
Apparently, it's a crossbreed between Fuggle and Cascade.
Okay, so that's like the amplification, the cascade part of it. Because Fuggle is pretty. I mean, it's a pretty low alpha hop, and I mean, I don't think Fuggle puts out that much aroma or flavor.
No, this is really interesting though. This is a pretty mild old school style hop though. It's got pretty low alpha acid content and everything else. So just basically an American alternative to getting German noble hops.
This smells really good. This has like a kind of like a Hawaiian sweetbread malt character with that floral hop. Almost a little bit of a citrus thing happening too. Like very, very subtle.
They describe the aroma as floral, green tea, and lemongrass.
Green tea. I don't know if I get green tea.
That's how the hop people describe it. But you know, that's if you're listening to Big Hop.
I mean, I'm not a green tea connoisseur, but maybe it's coming through and I don't pick it up. But
I think green tea's in the pocket of Big Hop.
How much did they pay for a descriptor on that hop?
That's right. They're paying off Big Hop. I just like to imagine everything is big whatever, you know, like, oh yeah, well that's big barley malt for you. Try to control the barley trade.
Everything's compromised, yeah. Everything's compromised by money.
So yeah, unfortunately, doing 5 of the same style means we're gonna have a lot of the same things to talk about. But
yeah, but at the same time, like especially starting with the Lone Star, where it was pretty much nothing, just a very clean, drinkable kind of one-note beer, going into the small beer that we just had, the Klein's beer, that had some floral character to it, and you know it's a 3.2% ABV beer, so it was kind of lacking on the body, but it made up for it with all of the flavor you got from the hops. And this is just like the next step up. I think, like I said, for me, it's coming off like a floral hop on steroids. You get big, massive floral notes. Nothing that's overwhelming, like adding like a hibiscus to a beer where you can actually pick up on that hibiscus aroma.
And we're not like
standing out.
We're not like an IPA level of hoppiness. It's hoppy for a Pilsner.
Oh yeah, put it in context
just,
for sure.
Yeah. To clarify for like people who are like, what are these like IPL beers? Like they're not, but they're definitely making the hops a star in the beer versus an American macro. You're right. That's a really good comparison, which is the one thing American macro beers fucking hate is hops. Like,
right.
Even though they put, triple hops on the outside, they don't want you to taste triple hops.
Yeah, exactly. And this, again, Live Oak is very good with their, do they make obviously we're having an IPA later, but I think they're known mostly for the lager and pills.
I mean, their Hefeweizen is kind of famous. Like that's really
right.
their famous beer.
Yeah. This is so far my favorite beer. This has the body. This has like the interesting hop characteristics on the nose and the flavor. It comes off a little sweet as far as like unfermented sugar goes, and I think it's working in its favor, adding to the body and adding like a flavor component. And it's really good. This is an excellent beer.
The hop profile on this beer is a little bit less challenging than the small beer. I think the small beer amped up the hop flavor to make up for the fact that it was kind of light in body, where this one is letting it balance a little bit more, but it's still very hop forward for a Pilsner.
On the flavor, yes. I think it's I think it's proportional to the small beer, the Klein's beer, where that was a lower alcohol beer pushing that big hop flavor. This is a little bit higher in alcohol, and so the flavor is coming through a little bit more. And I think it's obviously intentional because they made the beer. So it's really good. This is my favorite beer so far of the bunch.
But we've got the other pills on deck.
I'm gonna go grab that.
All right.
Right.
So, go ahead.
You can kick it off if you want.
Yep. So on deck, not another pills. This is the other pills.
It's the other pill that we have. Yes,
it is 4 point. Well, there's actually another one.
I know.
This is like becoming fucking who's on first, but this one ticks up the alcohol to 4.5%. It uses laurel hops.
Okay.
And then German Heidelberg malt, which I hadn't heard of. Heidelberg is made using special two-row barley variety that creates less color during the malting process.
Yeah, this beer's pretty light.
Yeah,
as far as color goes.
It's suited to particularly pale beers, and this beer, even though it's 4.5, is probably lighter than, or about as light as the small beer.
Yeah.
Just very, very light in color, very like white almost.
Yeah, this beer, along with the another pills, the previous beer, they don't have that fluffy white head. I mean, this has head on it if you agitate it, but it burns off pretty quick. Where the smaller beer, the smallest beer, had like a head that just hung out, which was awesome.
So laurel hops are referred to as the super noble hop, and they're supposed to be kind of a blend between like a traditional noble hop and your more modern varietals.
So we've gone from straight up noble hops to a noble hop hybrid that's a noble hop on steroids to the super noble hop, which I think is an interesting progression with these beers.
Yeah. And then the nose on this is kind of a little bit, it's got a little bit more that modern character to it. I'm getting a big lemony profile out of this beer.
I get lemon and kind of an earthy, almost, put it in context, dank character, like as far as like a hop aroma that you would get off of a Pilsner.
The
it
noble
smells
hop, right? The noble hop dankness.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
not like weed or something you get like off a double IPA, made with I don't know Mosaic or something. But again, in context for it being like a light pills, it has a bit of a dank nose on it. It smells a bit heavy on the hops on the nose in a good way.
And they say this beer is unfiltered, which it is a little bit hazier.
Yeah, as a home brewer, if I had a beer this clear, I'd call it clear. So,
but compared to the last beer,
yeah, it's not as brilliant, definitely.
Interesting. The flavor on this beer is definitely different than the other two. It's hard to describe.
I don't really get. I mean, it's not as flavor forward as far as the hops go as the previous beers. It's really dry. Yeah, I don't know. It's for me, it's not really punching through like the previous ones were.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very man, super. We're both super like, how do you
This one's more,
this
I think,
beer?
more malt forward on the flavor. The hops are definitely showcased more on the aroma with this beer. And they do come through in the flavor, but not, like I said, they're not as impactful as the previous beers. And that's not a bad thing. I actually I get more bitterness than anything else on the
I was going to say this beer has a lot more of a bitter bite because it's still lingering on my palate. And they're saying this one's 40 IBU, so that makes sense that it's going to be more bitter than the other ones. And yeah, there's a little bit more hop bitterness than there is hop flavor. And you're right that it kind of leans into the malt, but then the malt profile is very light.
Right.
And so it makes it a very interesting beer. I think it's a little bit more of a challenging beer because of the bitterness. Compared to some of the other ones, it's definitely not as easy to drink.
Yeah. Again, putting this in context for people that think we're talking about like an IPL level of bitterness being quote unquote challenging. It's not that. If you think about it for a light pills, if you just cracked a can open without thinking about it, it's not challenging. Like it's a very easy to drink beer. But when you compare it to the previous two beers and even Lone Star, you have to contend with a little bit more bitterness and more malt characteristic than the other beers. It's not something you drink on a hot summer day and just guzzle down. Like you actually can enjoy this and like get some positive characteristics from it and taste it.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit more of a sipper than like a guzzler. Like the other ones where you're just like, shit, man, I could pound 3 of these. Like this one, you have to slow down a little bit because it does, it kind of bites when you drink it. It has a bit of a punch on the palate. And again, these are all within the context of still being a Pilsner.
Yes.
So, but comparing within that realm.
For me, the most interesting thing about this beer is the nose. I almost get like a honey characteristic on the malt coming through with the hops, and as it warms up, that kind of super noble hop character kind of fades a little bit into the background and lets the malts kind of come through, and you get this really nice. Like I said, it almost smells heavy, if that makes sense. Like you smell like a very bread forward, honey-ish floral character on the nose, and I think that's the most interesting thing about this beer. Not that it's boring on the flavor or anything. It's just that's what I get. That's my favorite part of this beer. It's a really good beer. Like it's excellent. Don't get me wrong.
And to be honest, I'm really impressed by how different these 3 beers are, being basically 3 takes on the same fundamental thing. These are very different drinking experiences in a lot of different ways. And I think it shows a brewery really at the top of their craft that they're able to look, we're going to give you 3 different types of Pilsner. And, this one's lower alcohol. It has a different body, a different mouthfeel. And it really lets you kind of pick out the elements of it and enjoy it that way.
The level of nuance to these beers, especially how they're separated from one another, like for them to be so I don't know. It's like a fine-tooth comb came to mind, but like it's something that the separation between them is so small and so like non-critical. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going from a flavorless lager to an IPA. You have this. I mean, spectrum. The spectrum of these beers is so close. Like it's really difficult to on a I don't know, a broad, wide angle level. It's difficult to tell them apart. But when you really sit down and break them down, and especially now with what we're doing, trying them side by side, you do get those different nuances. And you're right; it shows how they really know how to make a really good lager. It's kind of incredible because me as a home brewer, I wouldn't even know where to begin to do something like this, where it's like, okay, this one's only 1% more, but it's this. It's so drastically different than the other beer in these ways. Like that's just kind of crazy that they are able to break it down like that.
And I think honestly, even not being super critical about it, these beers present differently. They look different. They have different aromas. They again, takes on the same theme, and there's a real variety here. And I appreciate that. That's really cool. So keep it up, Pilsner Breweries.
All right, so next, let's see.
Did you find a church key?
Yes, I have one. Yep.
Nice.
Yvonne, I showed her the can, and she's like, how do you open that with a can opener? I'm like, no, with a church key. She's like, what is that? Do we have one? I'm like, every house just comes with a church key, I think.
I seriously had one in my home for years, and I never knew what the fuck you did with it.
Yeah. Let me grab it.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to open this while we're talking because...
So, on deck, the Live Oak Pre-War Pils, the only beer with a label. But where they spent money on labels, they saved by it is a completely smooth top. It's a Ken doll of a can.
It's a Ken doll.
It doesn't have any identifiable markings or anything else there.
Yeah, so this is Live Oak pre-war pills. Are they talking about the Civil War? Is that the pre-war?
Jesus, no.
I don't know.
Yeah, before the Revolutionary War, this is the kind of aluminum cans that beer came in.
Okay, like which war?
The Great War? World War II?
World War II. Okay, World War II. All right. Yeah, so Jason said this can pre-World War II. Now we know that. It comes in this really cool Ken doll of a can, like Jason said. And if you're watching the live stream, you can see a photo of this on the screen. It's like they just took an eraser and erased like the pop top and the opening that you normally see, and it's just bare. Like you look at it, you're like, I see like a monkey, like with a stick, like trying.
Also, I was wrong. It was pre-World War One. So
okay.
This is a 1912 recipe, mashed with 35% corn grits, and a fine example of early American lager brewing. So I've never used a church key. I had to look up. It came with one. It's like engraved and stuff too. It's kind of nice.
That's pretty cool that it actually comes with one. Yeah,
yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah, Live Oak Pils. All right, let's see if I can do this without spilling beer all over myself.
Here we go. I'm opening mine. Uh-oh. I didn't do it. Hang on.
All right, I did it. I got one hole in my beer.
I got one hole too. And it popped like you opened like a tab. Regular beer. That's cool. I did it. Oh, I feel so like I don't know.
Nice.
In touch with my grandpa.
Look at that. It's just holes punched in a can. And so then you just like cut your mouth on these.
Here's mine. Yeah, there we go. So we've got 2 holes. This is so cool. Like this, I don't even care what the beer tastes like. It's just like this awesome thing.
The coolest hipster beer experience is like, oh, you use a pop top.
You can't side pour these.
I carry a church key everywhere I go.
Yeah, this is cool.
Adding the air hole does make it pour really smooth. That's nice.
Yeah.
This is super, super clear again.
Holy moly. Yeah. You could use this as a magnifying glass. Like, oh my God. That's clear. Clear and very yellow. That's awesome. Fluffy white head. That's hanging out. Like to see that.
And it smells kind of dank to me. A little bit of that very much that old Euro like kind of Czech pills kind of hop character.
It smells very similar to the previous beer. Very, very similar. I mean, it's lacking that floral note, I would say, but that malt character is definitely coming through like the previous beer.
Yeah, apparently it's 1/3 corn grits in a cereal decoction mash.
Okay. So they put some work into this beer.
And it is 32 IBU.
Because a decoction mash, if I'm correct, and this is called the Four Brewers Podcast, so you think I would know this, but isn't that where you take a portion of the mash in a separate vessel and then heat it up to a certain temperature and then add it back to the mash to heat up the entire mash? I believe that's what a decoction mash is. If you're in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm right.
I guarantee somebody in the chat knows better than us what a decoction mash is. They're like, yeah, I'm doing a decoction mash right now.
That's a very basic like description of what a decoction mash is in my brain anyway.
So my head is dissipated. Let's try the beer.
Okay. It's very corny, definitely.
Yeah, there's a corn character. There's a little bit of sweetness. It's definitely not as crisp as the other beers. It's bitter as well.
It is bitter. That's the first thing that like came out to me on the flavor.
This would definitely be the harshest of these beers. Harsh being relative for a very light, crisp Pilsner.
Again, put it in context. Yeah, it's not a harsh beer like IPA harsh. It's of the pills that we've had, it's definitely I would say it has the most contrast, I would say. Like it's not really cohesive. It's very malty. That's what stands out after the bitterness. It's still a great beer. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's really, really good.
Yeah, the hop character is really more bitterness than really getting any major aroma. Or there's a little bit of hop aroma, but it's not. This isn't what I would call a hop forward beer.
No, not at all. Again, compared to the previous beer that we had, the other pills, like I think that was the pinnacle as far as hoppy beers that we're trying on the show. That was like the top of the hoppy beers as far as the pills go. And this is basically bringing us back down to reality where it's like, yeah, this is, American, lager or pills in this case, where it's, I mean, they're calling it a pills, so it's going to be a little bit hop forward. And I think that's where you're getting the bitterness on the flavor. But otherwise it's pretty much just like a malt bomb that finishes very clean and dry. It's really good. It's tasty.
And apparently, according to Simply Artists in chat, you boil a portion of the mash and add to raise temperature to the next infusion temperature in your mash.
So I was right. Cool. Thanks.
Thanks for confirming.
This has a kind of a fruity note on the aroma too, which I didn't expect. Kind of like not apples, but like a kind of like a apple pear hybrid kind of thing for me. It's very subtle, but it's there.
Honestly, it's this is a really good beer, but not necessarily a drink a liter beer. Where a lot of these other ones are drink a liter beers. This one is like it's a beer to appreciate, but you're also, challenged by it a little bit. And I think it being, designed after a 100-year-old recipe, I think it's from a time when they didn't necessarily have the balance and or maybe subtlety wasn't as valued in the recipe at that era,
Yeah, this is the beer your great grandpa drank, and maybe your great great grandpa, and back then you had to have hair in your chest to drink this beer, right? Overall, though, like putting it in context, it's a very clean drinking beer. It's malt forward. The corn aspect, I think, is the most interesting thing about this. It's cool that they went along with this super weird can top. Like if you just, it's a good thing they give you a church key in the box, because if you just bought this at a store, not knowing otherwise, you're basically screwed. Like, how do I can, like I said, a monkey with a stick. Like, okay, I can see a dude in his garage with a screwdriver, just like, all right, I'm going for it. Boom.
To be honest, it worked better than I thought it would. I was like, there's no way this thing is gonna punch through this can.
I thought it was going to spray or something.
Yeah,
that was my fear.
It actually worked just pretty much like a pop top. It worked,
and it
well.
sounded like a pop top. Like you got that, the spritz and the crunch kind of sound, and it's an interesting beer. They've committed to the branding on this, so I'm assuming this is something they're just going to make all the time.
Do you think you can church key a regular can without a travesty happening?
There's only one way to find out, Jason.
Fucking A. All right, I'll sacrifice a Coors Light to this.
All right, here we go. This is for science.
All right, can you church key a regular can? I mean, I suppose I could probably just use it to just push the little thing you open.
No, that's cheating.
That seems bullshit. I'm gonna go like sideways.
All right, don't mess up your shit.
Don't explode on my keyboard. All right, let's see. Oh no, it seemed like it worked.
Nice.
Yeah. And we're doing it. Okay, yeah, you can't really do a second one though. It doesn't have the structural integrity.
Just pop the top, and that's
your
there you go.
I'm doing it. All right, I got it like a giant.
I'm sure you you can like pour that so fast and chug it way faster.
It worked, dude. We did it.
Because that's the whole thing behind the wide mouth can opening, right? So it pours faster, and you get less bubbles and less head.
Yeah, I could shotgun the shit out of this beer. Nailed it. All right,
I'm gonna grab the next beer.
Last but not least. I saw the word peer pressure and I'm like, what does he mean? Should I chug this beer? Like, I'm just applying it to myself.
You're all alone.
I'll try it. See how it goes. Oh, no, it's weird. It's like the Joker.
Gotcha.
It is kind of like the Joker of cans. It's like, do you want to know how he got this?
You just made one huge hole.
Didn't work. So last but not least, and a shout out to Cougar Steve who popped in. He's hanging out in Twitch right now. He muled these back. He drove these beers from Austin to Southern California. So good on him.
He's a fucking man.
And he got me the IPA because he figured I would like an IPA. And he's
so
right.
Yeah, we're drinking. It's just called IPA from Live Oak, and this is made with Quake yeast with Mosaic, Laurel, and Columbus hops, and it's a hazy IPA. And I can already smell it. Like we just had all these really awesome pilsners and whatnot from Live Oak, and then you open an IPA from them, and like the aromas just burst out of the glass. That's just incredible. Like this brewery, I don't know, man.
It's also only 5.3%.
Dude, this smells so citrusy, like so like pithy, like citrus. It's almost too much. That's definitely the yeast coming through.
I mean, to me, I'm getting a very like tropical aroma, but the hop aroma is huge on this beer. And these are
heavy grapefruit too.
This is from July 14th, so it's not it's not brand new. Yeah, it's 6 weeks old.
Yeah, man, I get again heavy grapefruit, pithy citrus, like you're smelling like a grapefruit and also smelling like the rind at the same time. It's so intense. It's crazy.
Oh, dude, this is good. It's hazy in that it is unfiltered and it isn't clear, but these hops actually shine. Like the hop character in this is not your typical hazy hop schmear. It is bright. These hops pop, and this is super good.
I expected a heavier beer as far as like the mouthfeel and whatnot, and this finish is pretty dry. My mouth's watering. It's very, very juicy. The Kvike yeast or Quake, however you want to say it. I mean, whichever yeast they're using, it's perfect. Like this is incredible. Like this is juicy.
But the mouthfeel of this beer is like pillowy. It's very, very light and fluffy, character-wise. But it manages to be juicy without sanding the edges off the hops. Did you say they said they used the Kvike yeast?
That's what it says on Untappd. Yes.
Interesting. I think that may be the big difference here, right? In that the yeast isn't sanding off the edges of the hops.
Using Kvike yeast in a hazy IPA, if you can find the right strain of yeast to use, that makes all the difference. I remember Wix Brewing Company. I brought this up before on the show. What's the last thing we went to? It was the California Craft Beer Summit in Long Beach. And I mean, Wix makes pretty good beer. I don't think it's world class, but I mean, for what they are, they're like a brew pub in Riverside. I think they make pretty clean beer, and it's pretty good. And they had an IPA that was made with Kvike yeast that was just insanely good. And I'm like, dude, whatever you did to this, like keep doing that. This is really, really good. Like you're on to something here. And they were like, yeah, we didn't even try as far as fermentation goes. Like we threw the yeast in there. They didn't turn on the glycol for the fermenters. It got up to like 104 during fermentation. And they dry hopped it and did, everything else properly. But it was fantastic. It's like this yeast is just like magical as far as how Americans are using it.
I feel like in my head, Kip is always trying to throw us beers with Kvike yeast in them.
Kip's the guy that's trying to
LA
get
Aleworks.
Idaho 7.
He's doing that too. I feel like he's thrown a lot of Kvike yeast at us.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I mean, and again, it's about finding the right yeast that works with your beer, and like Live Oak found it. Like this is incredible.
And dude, for 5.3, this this is not a session IPA. Like, this does not taste like a thin beer or a light beer at all. Like, this is, if you told me this was 7%, I believe you. It's got the body and the flavor of a full IPA in, again, 5.3% alcohol.
It sounds weird to say, but it's like a session double IPA, if that makes sense. Like, you get those double IPA characteristics with like the body and the mouthfeel and the hoppiness. Not so much with the bitterness, but it's only 5.3, and it's very, very enjoyable. Like, this is a crusher for sure. I mean, going back to the hot weather and whatnot, and drinking beers on the river in a canoe while you're fucking, like, this is definitely something that you can down. This is a bongable beer. It's really good.
I'm bonging it. I'd bong it. I'd bong a liter of it.
Man.
No, this is super like the hop flavor like lingers on your palate in a good way, where you're just like, man, I want more of that. Like, I can get the memory of it, and it makes me want to drink more of it. It's super fucking good beer.
It's savory, I think. And that's what I think. That's the hallmark of a good hazy IPA, I think, when it's something that you finish drinking and it lingers in a good way, not like in a sticky sweet kind of bitter way, but like your mouth waters. You're like, I want another sip of that. That's really good. And not in a way where, like with West Coast IPA, it's so dry that you want to drink more to, wet your palate. It's like, you want to go back to it because it's so good. It's so tasty, and kind of like, regular citrus fruit juice. It's really good.
Yeah, just tons of citrus, like a nice tropical fruity character. Just, it's not a West Coast IPA, but it's not a hazy IPA either. It's a weird mid category. Like, they found this weird sweet spot for IPA, but it works. This is awesome beer.
For me, this comes off more as a hazy. I mean, even if I had this blind, literally blind without looking at it, I would drink this and go, yeah, this seems like it's more of a hazy IPA, because you're lacking the bitterness of a West Coast, right? I don't get any bitterness at all.
It doesn't have the like kind of sweet, soft profile. It does to an extent, I guess. So, no, I guess you're right.
I mean, come here, if you want to go like back to what we normally go to, where like there's a West Coast interpretation of a hazy, and like the Northeast version where it's like more candy forward and big mouthfeel, sweet. I don't know. This leans more West Coast without the bitterness, I think. And I think that's why this beer is cool, because it's in its own category. And that's why I'm so hyped about it, because it's so different from other hazy IPAs. It's really, really good, really drinkable. It's fantastic.
Yeah, this is one of the coolest. Like, we've had some pretty good IPA in the last couple months with the quarantine availability of a lot of really good breweries, but damn, this is up there, man. This is like top 5 of the beers of IPAs I've had this year. Steve suggesting we call it a Tex Coast IPA.
Nice. New category. I'm not opposed to it. That's a good idea.
It's a Gulf Coast IPA is what it is, yeah. Although Austin is not on the coast of anything. I guess a river.
So yeah, shout out to Cougar Steve for hooking us up with these beers. Like, these are, I mean, anytime I can get my hands on Live Oak, like, I'll just take it. Like, no question. Like, just great beers all around. I mean, obviously from this show, you see that they make great Pilsner and lager. And if you can make great Pils and lager, you probably are going to be pretty good at the other styles too, because the Pils and the lager are the ones that are most difficult to nail. And they've got it down to a science. So thanks to Cougar Steve. This was a fun show. I enjoyed this, even though it was just me and Jason. I think it was very interesting and fun and worthwhile.
The perfect beers for being 115 degrees outside.
Right now it's 75 in my house, so I'm doing okay. I just can't go outside.
Don't even just draw the fucking blinds, keep the lights off, and hope the sun doesn't find you.
Yeah, I went to Jason's house earlier. I walked in and I had to let my eyes adjust because I was going to trip on something because I could not see anything. All the lights were off.
I'm hiding in the dark like a vampire. Just like
Fucking hermit.
stay out of the daylight.
All right, I think we're done. I'm going to stop recording.
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy.
Yeah, this beer is really good. Fuck. The nose is incredible.
Mr. Sunshine on my freaking shoulders, John Denver.
All right, let's check out the Twitch. Any new subs? Nope. Kyle wants, he mentioned saying decoction, but slower. Decoction. There you go.
Austin beer tour. I haven't done a real Austin beer tour. I've been to Jester King, but I literally drove from San Antonio to Austin to go to Jester King, and then I drove back to where I was staying in San Antonio. So I would like to. In fact, I meant to in May. We were going to go. My brother lives out there now, and COVID. So fuck me.
Yep. Have you seen that show, Jason? What We Do in the Shadows? I think it's what it's called.
I've seen the movie, but while drunk, as I said in the chat, so I don't remember it very well. And then I haven't really watched the series at all.
It's very good. You need to watch it. It's very fucking good. Yeah. The dude, the main standout in that show for me is the guy that was in the IT crowd, the boss from the IT crowd, the guy that talks like this whenever he's acting on TV. Like,
yeah,
he's really good in this show.
Is it on Hulu?
It's streaming somewhere. I'm not sure where.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. So
yeah,
I can watch it on there. I had it on my YouTube TV, but I canceled that.
I canceled for 1 month and then I went back.
I wasn't using it anyways. Like, it was barely worth it to me at $50. I was like, I'm barely watching this now that Mr. Robot's over. So why am I paying even at $20? It's just kind of like, I use YouTube proper 10 times as much as I use YouTube TV. So
Yvonne, we watched The Last Dance, and like, we're not into sports at all, me and Yvonne, and we were like, we both really enjoyed it, and she likes basketball, and I'm like, well, I like basketball too, but I don't watch it. Like, what if we just got into, like, I want to get into a sport. I've tried to get into hockey, didn't work. Football doesn't work for me either, and Yvonne hates football, but basketball, she's like, yeah, I would get into basketball. So YouTube TV has this really cool feature with NBA games where if you record it, you can watch the entire game, or you can just go to like a highlight reel that's like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, and it shows you all of the best plays of the game. And they just cut it up. You know, it's nothing fancy. It shows the play. You get like a black screen for 2 seconds, and then you get the next play and the next play and the next play. And it's a really like easy way to catch up on a basketball game. And I mean, YouTube TV, I don't like that they raised it to $65 a month, but their DVR thing works great. And if you do share it with other people, you can justify the price. I looked into other services and it was just like,
Yeah, for me, I
don't know.
Cable in general, like I don't watch live sports really, and the TV shows and like in my world, nobody's watching that stuff. Like the content that is on basic cable and networks, like nobody talks about that. Like everybody's talking about Tiger King. You know,
Yeah.
3 months ago, everyone's talking about Tiger King. Everyone's talking about what's on Netflix or on Hulu. People don't like. I'm sure some people are talking about what's happening on ABC's newest whatever police procedural dance reality show, but like, yeah, I don't watch any of that shit and it doesn't really add any value to me. So I'm like, it doesn't matter what company or what price at this point. I'm just like, yeah, I'm kind of done with the old cable model. Like that content isn't worth it for me.
I dip in on MSNBC every now and then after work, and you can watch, like, I'm a big fan of Rachel Maddow, and you can watch her shows the next day for free on their app, but it's the next day. Like I can't come home and just like turn it on and, if it's, whatever, 7 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock at night, watch her show, while it's being recorded and just go back to the beginning and skip commercials and stuff. So again, it's not, the $65 price point is not justified just to watch Rachel Maddow live. But when I saw the NBA things with the highlights, and maybe they do that with all sports, I don't know. Hockey, like your highlight reel would be like 10 seconds long. maybe if they added like where people got hurt, it'd be a little longer. But like with the amount of action that happens in like a basketball game, it's cool that they have that thing that they do where it just truncates everything to the popular, like, best plays of the game. So
The Red Zone channel for football.
What's that?
You ever see the Red Zone channel for football?
No.
For NFL? Yeah, like if you have the Red Zone channel, it literally will just basically it's like somebody flipping around for you to like whatever game has something going on.
Okay.
I agree with Lemonade about 24-hour news. All of it. All 24-hour cable news channels are kind of shitty, in my opinion.
I agree. And it's not like I'm watching MSNBC all day long. I mean, I record everything. It sounds bad to say everything on MSNBC in case I want to go back and like watch something. I like the lineup, like Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, Lawrence O'Donnell's okay. What's the other chick that just got a show during the week? It's called The Readout. God damn it, I can't remember her name. Joy Reid, that's her name. But I don't watch those shows consistently. Like I'll just pick up highlights here and there if I want to. But I the 24-hour news cycle is bad. But I'm also a fan of it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I read shit, but I don't like opinion hosts being like, "Here's my thoughts on this." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good."
When major shit goes down, I enjoy Rachel Maddow's perspective because I think she's a very smart person. I've
legit never even seen that show. Like I said, I don't really like cable news stuff.
She's really good. Yeah.
All right. Lemonade had a really good comment I want to touch on. What would be the rules of craft beer pong? And I don't know about craft beer pong specifically, but I'm going to riff on this. Beer pong played like you know how people will play chess and they'll like send a letter and they're like, yeah, knight to rook 2 or whatever. And they're like, okay. And then like the guy thinks and he like sends back a letter and they play chess over like 5 years. You could do that with beer pong. You have a table set up and the other side is like their side with like water in it or whatever. And then you throw and you're like, oh, hey, like you do it on Zoom or something, right? Like Zoom beer pong. And then like you throw and you're like, hey, I made that cup. And they're like, oh, shit. And then they have to drink it. And then you take it off both tables. And then you play like Zoom beer pong. And it's hygienic. Nobody gets COVID.
Okay. Was it a COVID-related question or just like general rules of craft beer pong?
Just beer pong, craft beer pong. But I was like, hey, how do you do beer pong in this format?
That sounds like it would work. Definitely, yes.
I did it.
It's also kind of sad because you're playing beer pong with. You have a table set up in your garage. You're just in there alone. Throw a ping pong ball. Okay. He said, yeah, just in general. Which I think is a valid question. Like, because beer pong is with like cheap, lower alcohol beer. Like, what if you're playing beer pong with like brewery beers? What are the rules there?
And they're the same rules. You just get fucked up.
Okay.
Like, the whole point of any drinking game is like, hey, I got you, you fucker. You got to drink more. And they're like, oh, but I don't want to. It's like, sorry, you gotta.
Craft beer pong with black is beautiful variants. Like,
there you go.
Did you see Stone's black is beautiful variant? It's basically Woot Stout.
Yeah, they're like, if you like Woot Stout, you're gonna love this one. I'm like, really?
No,
do you have to be that obvious about it? I'm like, first off, I hate Woot Stout.
Woot Stout's okay. I understand your hate. For me, it's just okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think we did it on the show, and we were all just like, man, this sucks.
Cougar Steve asked if Stone printed the can upside down for Black is Beautiful. I thought the same thing when I saw the photo. No, they did not. That would be pretty fucking douchey if they did. They did not do that.
Do you see Stone sued some more people?
Yeah, what is it? Something Stone
It was like
Distillery?
Yeah, like a vodka producer or some shit.
Yeah, I think that was
Utah.
actually on the list when we did our Stone show where we called them out on that stuff. I mean,
fucking morons.
Again, what were the three breweries? Riptide, Rip City, and Rip, I think. If those three breweries can exist, like in the craft beer world without any problems, like Stone, maybe back off. Like, I understand you have to defend your trademark and you have to defend your trademark in order to keep it, but maybe you're being a bit excessive. Like, is there like a trademark police that's like, well, you didn't call out this place? I don't know. I don't think there is. Like,
it's literally just them trying to strengthen their case for the fucking Keystone lawsuit. That's it.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
It's them being like, look at how important our trademark is. We're enforcing it so much. That's why we care. This lawsuit's not a publicity stunt. Look, we're suing all sorts of people.
So it's Keystone's fault then, not Stone's fault.
For existing before Stone existed?
I'm just,
Fuck Stone. Boycott. Not buying their beer again.
I bought their 24th anniversary beer, and it's actually pretty good. I was going to bring you a can today when we met up to get these Live Oak beers, but
I'm good.
I figured you just throw it in the trash.
They're rogue to me at this point. Like, they're just a douchey brewery that makes mediocre beer, so why even buy them?
I respect that.
Honestly, the only thing I'd really miss boycotting Stone is the actual like the restaurant, like the Escondido like restaurant. That place is dope.
The bistro, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But even you can't go anywhere.
Solo, like just to drink at the bar, I will say their staff, their bartenders and beer servers at the bar, second to none. Like they monitor what you're drinking. They give you recommendations based on what you're drinking, not to upsell you, but just to like further your experience, and recommending beers outside of Stone too. Like, because they have outside breweries on tap. Like the people they hire to work at the tasting room and at the bistro, at the bistro are fantastic, second to none. Like, one of the best.
I wonder if they've maintained that. Like, there was the era when they had, Dr. Bill runs the beer program for the bistro, and I wonder if they're still that good in the era of just downsizing all that shit and corporatizing it all.
Well, last time
I
I
haven't
was
been there in a few
there
years.
was probably a year ago, and I was picking up the last of my Stone Germany beers, collaboration beers, and yeah, that's a cultural thing within the company. They want to maintain that like friendly, we're looking out for you kind of culture thing. I had 2 beers there when I was there, and I think they recognized me from 4 Brewers or New Brew Thursday, and I didn't say anything, and I was comped automatically, and I don't know who these people were, like, and they were great. I just sat there. I got my free taster of whatever Stone Germany beer I got, and then 2 more, and they were like, "Yeah, you're good. Have a good day." Not that I'm saying that's what I
They
expect.
just looked at your receipt. They're like, "How many of the Germany beers did this guy buy?" All right, yeah, we can cop him a couple.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, while I was there, it was they check in on you. They're like, "How you like that beer?" Like, I'm like, "Oh, it's pretty good. I get this and this from it." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Well, if you want Rex for something else, let us know because like we've got plenty on tap." And sometimes, like randomly, they'll come by with like a splash of a sampler of something. They're like, "Try that." And again, like I've seen them do this with normal people, like regular people at the bar. Not that I'm unusual because I'm a celebrity or something, but like they just walk up, they're like, "Oh, you like that? We'll try this." You didn't ask for it, you don't have to drink it, but they're thoughtful and they're looking out for you. And I think that's very, very cool. Even like when you're ordering food in the bistro, they'll sit down and just talk to you about the food and the beer that you're pairing with it, and like they're very genuine. It's not like forced or anything. Like I think going to the bistro is, aside from what we think about Stone and their
Like I
marketing,
said, it's the big thing I would miss is actually going to the facility because it's a really good place.
yeah, it's the people that work there, are outstanding. They do a good job.
But maybe they need to senior leadership of the company needs to stop being so fucking douchey.
Well, they have a new CEO.
Yeah, we'll see.
I forgot her name. She's from Lagunitas. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's cool that they have like a woman CEO. I applaud that. And she
And
came
beer
from
and
Lagunitas.
somebody from the beer industry. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, do you want to try out that I don't know, I don't think we're gonna watch like a whole thing, but the Twitch stream thing?
Oh yeah, the watch a TV show or
Yeah.
movie thing.
How does that work? Is it only stuff that's on Prime
Yes.
Video?
That's the whole idea because Twitch is Amazon and
But can you
yeah.
do like rentals and stuff? Like, can you rent a movie and watch it on Twitch?
I haven't researched it, but I assume it's stuff that's on Prime Video. And I assume the stuff that's on Prime Video, like if you're signing off the rights to your movie or TV show, that's part of like the thing you're signing off on.
We should try it out.
I'm not opposed to it. I would do that like I wouldn't do it at night because I don't like drinking beer like after 7 o'clock, which sounds weird, but that's how I am. But like maybe an afternoon kind of thing.
I'm saying, like, what if we just tried one right now just to see what actually we can do?
Sure.
We'd probably have to end the StreamYard, but
We have to, yeah. I would rather try it like in private to figure it out and then like actually pick something, or maybe go to Patreon in the Discord and see what they want to do, or just the general chat, and then actually set up something legit.
all right.
I'm on call tomorrow, so I can't do it tomorrow. Monday I'm off, but I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm sure there's people working on Monday.
All right, I gotta pee. Be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a beer. All right, we're doing a live unboxing. Only because I just got this. I'm assuming this is the Run the Jewels RTJ 4 record that I bought that just finally came. So I just saw what's inside of this, and you could pre-order the record with a T-shirt, and I've worn that T-shirt on the show before. It's the pink T-shirt with the RTJ4 logo on it, and lo and behold, they sent another T-shirt. So now I have 2 T-shirts, which I'm so stoked about, and the record.
Oh, that reminds me. I think my Frank Turner No Effects T-shirt order came through, and I think the T-shirt is for you.
Oh, the large, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so dope. Bam.
Oh, it's sick. I'm pretty sure mine. I heard the doorbell ring like 30 minutes after yours, so I'm pretty sure that was the post office dropping mine off too.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Oh, and that's on the back.
I will say the album
for RTJ 4.
Nice. I like RTJ 3 better as an album musically, but 4 is still dope.
I agree. I enjoy this cover art better than RTJ 3, but RTJ 3 is still really good. Like the I don't know if you watched like the behind the scenes on how they actually did this. Like it's an actual thing they made out of metal. Like
I think all of them are, right? All of the
Are they?
Yeah, maybe or at least this one and the 3. The other ones are clearly drawings, but
yeah. But yeah, this is dope. I'm so stoked they sent another T-shirt. So next week on the show, we're gonna do Cellar Maker and Hen House. Is that right?
Yeah, we can do a mix of them.
Because we both got that super awesome 6-pack or 6-beer case, half case, whatever, from Cellar Maker. I have a Sabro, which this can art is dope.
Although, would we have to figure out how to get like other people these beers too?
Yeah, that's a good call.
I mean, in theory, we both have extras, so we could kind of. I give one to Tim, and you give one to if someone else is on.
Yeah, if Joe comes on, I can chuck some down to Joe. I just can't drink them. That's all.
Honestly, it was not lost on me that by us doing the Live Oak show this week, that means I get 5 out of each 6-pack, and not mad at it.
Lemonade.
Although I got a
RTJ3 saying RTJ3 was released way back in 2016. That was on Christmas, I think they released that. Like you woke up to a Christmas present and it was RTJ3. It was dope. Was it 16?
I think so.
16? Yeah, okay, because Trump was inaugurated January 2017. So yeah.
Yep, December 24th.
Yeah, I remember laying in bed listening to RTJ3, like, and I was in bed for an hour. I listened to it twice in bed, and it was fucking amazing.
All I'm saying, John, we should test a watch party.
All right, you want to test a watch party right now? If you're watching live, we're going to end the stream. Go to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/4Brewers, and you can watch us test out a thing.
We can watch the movie Rad.
Dude, put on Cool as Ice.
That was a paid movie.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we got to figure out. We got to figure out
hilarious.
Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. I paid to rent Rad, apparently. I don't know. Let's figure out what we can
try
do
this right now.
Yeah. When else are we going to do it, John?
We're going to end the broadcast. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to hang out longer, go to our Twitch channel, and we'll see you later.